Hi, and welcome to Always Bring a Book. On today's episode, I sat down with Lucy Zhao, one of the co-founders of the new social reading app Pagebound. It's been around for about a year, and it's gone from no users to over 100,000 in that short time. I'm a recent user of Pagebound, only having signed up maybe a month ago. I've tried so many book tracking apps over the years, just like I'm sure most of you, once I decided to ditch Goodreads, and none have quite nailed it for me, so I was really excited when I saw this one pop up. I hope you enjoy learning about its founding, why they're so anti-AI, its features, and what's next for them on this episode.
We are attempting something very, very rare. Building a book app that is self-sustaining, user-supported, ad-free, anti-AI, and independent. We built Pagebound out of a love for reading and for our community. We are a team of 2 women and completely self-funded. Jennifer and I have worked in tech for many years, her as a software engineer, me on the business and design side. We quit our jobs 2 years ago to create Pagebound because we knew what readers wanted from a book tracker, and we knew we had the skills to create something truly revolutionary.
So, as we were talking about before recording, I know that you've told the origin story of Pagebound before, so I won't ask you for the long version. But if you can tell us when was the moment that kind of sparked the idea, and how did your own reading habits like maybe shape what you wanted to build?
Yeah, so just me, Lucy, here today. My co-founder Jennifer is unfortunately under the weather, but I will do my best to tell both sides of our story. We initially had the idea for Pagebound late summer, kind of fall 2024. Oh my God, I can't believe. Hold on, let me. Is that right? 2023, I guess, 2 years ago.
Wow.
Because now it's 2026. And it's interesting because Jennifer, she's a software engineer. I am on the design and business side, and we had met actually through a job in tech. So that was our, initial introduction to one another. And in tech, there's just not that many readers out there. Most people, if you ask them what they read, they're like, oh yeah, I read like 10,000 hours or, like some business book, business tech efficiency book.
Big fan of Atomic Habits.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Jennifer and I were never, we were like reading 50 books a year, fiction only. And so it's funny when I just like left another tech job and I was about to turn 30 and I was feeling, the midlife career crisis that I think a lot of people go through. And I knew that I wanted to start my own company. And this was kind of like my last shot at it because I had tried before actually at a different startup. But this time around, learning from that first time, I knew just like my personality, I could only do it if I was genuinely really passionate about it. And I, don't have that many passions. Like reading is probably the longest standing, hobby passion of mine since forever. Like I studied English in college, I have always wanted to write one day. And so, of course, like the business side of me was like, this is going to be really, really hard to do a, sustainable business in the book industry. Because as we all know, it's pretty much dominated by one major player, and
who publishing, could you possibly be talking
about?
About?
Who could I? And publishing isn't very easy to break into either, right?
Yeah.
So I'd had all these ideas like percolating around when I started chatting with Jennifer. I mean, it was kind of like, it felt like fate a little bit because I think when you start a company with someone, yes, you have to be passionate about the same idea, but it's also like the circumstances, right? And like we set out to do this without venture capital funding. And that was a decision we made very early on. And she had been saving money to do this on her own. I'd been saving money to do this on my own. Like we were in a position where even from a values perspective and like how we wanted to build the company, we were super aligned. So that when we finally made the difficult decision to do this, because it wasn't an easy decision. We tried to brainstorm other ideas, honestly, that weren't in the book space, but
now I'm curious, like what didn't make the cut?
I mean, so many things. I feel like, it's so funny because now I work with readers, right? But in the past, I worked with like tech and business people. And so everyone from my previous life, when they found out I was doing this was like, what are you doing? That like doesn't really make any sense. Like, that seems really like it would be really difficult. Like, I don't think you can make it. Now that I'm in the reader space, like everybody gets it. And they're like, of course Goodreads is outdated. Of course there's room for Pagebound to exist. But I think like between that transition for me, it was a difficult leap. And it's helped so much that Jennifer had the same exact feelings I had the vision. Yeah. And it was also, frankly, like her first time starting a company. It was my second time. So if anything, like she really pushed me because she had that like naivete that one needs to want to like go out and build and do hard things in the world. And you have to be a little naive to think that you're going to be successful. So I didn't tell you the short story. This is a long story, but
no, I like it. It's awesome.
At the end of the day, yeah, like we were just like, it has to be this. Like we're both just so passionate about this. There's really nothing else we could work on.
You sort of mentioned it, but there are a lot of book tracking platforms out there, right? Like obviously there's Goodreads, which I'm always surprised that so many people don't know that it's owned by Amazon. Mm-hmm. Storygraph, Fable, like what do you think was missing from those platforms that made Pagebound worth building anyway?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'll just even set Goodreads aside. I think a lot of us do know kind of the issues already with that platform. I would say, where I was coming from was reading was for me always very much a solo activity. Not a lot of people in my life read. I read very prolifically, but like, I was always craving that kind of like book club experience, but I didn't have any like in-person friends to read with. And so I had used Fable. I checked it out. And on the surface, I think the value prop seemed like it would have been a great fit for me. But when I actually got onto the app and was in the various book clubs, they just frankly were quite dead. And a lot of them were like very influencer led. And that just wasn't something I was personally interested in.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the experience I had coming in. Jennifer had more experience with Storygraph and kind of other apps across the board. And she was a longtime Goodreads user and knew that like readers had a lot of even just complaints with the basic book tracking features of Goodreads, not having half stars, not having DNF or pause statuses, and her being a software engineer, like knowing how doable those features were kind of drove her crazy, So the really lightning rod idea for Pagebound was, why is it that you have to wait till the very end of a book to review it? And that's kind of your only community touch point. Why can't you talk about the book as you're reading it? And you would think like, oh, well, that would just be the book club. Like that would be what Fable is doing, right? But rather than getting a group of people together, whether you know them or they're strangers on the internet, and then deciding a set of books to read, like why can't you do it the opposite way and actually connect people based on the books that they're already reading? Like, is there a way where you don't have to tell someone what to read or force them to move something up in their TBR? Instead, like the touch point is the book. And how can that change the paradigm where it's less about a traditional social media app where you're making friends with a user and their profile? Here, we care like far less about that. Like we don't care who you are, actually. We care what you have to say about the book that you're reading. And then that's how you make friends on Pagebound.
But you weren't joking. You are passionate about this. I can like see it. You're like so animated. I was like, am I watching Shark Tank? I'm about to like give this person money.
Yeah.
Has any of the user feedback surprised you or like meaningfully shifted your roadmap?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So Pagebound, we first launched on web, which was actually a very intentional decision because it allowed us to make changes a lot faster. And so in the beginning, when we were just on web with our, we had 300 beta users for about 3 months, we did a lot of testing. There were some features that don't exist anymore now that we got rid of because they were confusing or they just didn't really meet a need. Our core like book forum feature, quest feature that people love today, those have been in the DNA since the beginning. But I would say, yeah, it's been a huge learning experience and journey watching the community grow because the features that work when you're smaller don't necessarily work when you're really big. And that's something that we're actively thinking about now. We, over the holiday season, actually just passed our 100,000th user.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
I didn't want to ask, but I wanted to ask. I was like, how many users do you have?
Yeah, no, we're very transparent about it. I mean, we're definitely doing the whole build in public thing here. And
I know you even have the roadmap, not only like on your site, but like in the app. I was tooling around. I was like, wow, this is so cool. It's like a little mini Jira board in here.
100%. Yeah, we want to be transparent. And I think like now that we have 100,000, I mean, it feels it's so much exciting because our forums are so much busier. There's so many more people contributing, posting. But now definitely we want to think about how that experience and the feature set can scale so that when we're at 500,000, when we hit our 1 millionth user, they're still getting that same magical experience that our early users got.
Yeah, there's that balance of it's dead in here, no one's on this thing, so the forum doesn't work. And there's the perfect amount of people, so it feels like a conversation. And there's so many people in here, this feels like noisy,
100%.
right? So like finding that balance. Yeah. You just mentioned Quest, and one of Pagebound's biggest differentiators, at least to me, is how gamified it is, right? There's quests and points and badges and levels. And what about that? Like, why did you guys lean so kind of heavily into that gamified experience?
It's interesting because I feel like there was a trend of this gamification in a lot of apps. And I was not personally actually a big fan of that trend. But when it came to building Pagebound, I thought we could do it in a very like wholesome and frankly like old internet kind of more like Neopet kind of way that didn't feel like the modern sense of gamification where they're trying to...
The Neopet of the book world.
The Neopet, exactly. Yes. Like modern gamification or just social media in general, I feel like is designed to get you to spend as much time as possible on your phone. Yeah. And that doesn't feel good. Like we all know that. The approach we took was much more like, hey, reading is already so wonderful, so amazing. Readers are goal motivated. Like that's why everybody tracks how many books that they're reading in a year. It's a point of pride and that's amazing. We should celebrate that. How can we add cute, fun little ways where it's not the reason you make a post, but hey, if you want to share your book thoughts with someone, if you want to like log that you finished a book, you can get like some made up internet points. Like they literally do not translate into dollars or anything, but it's fun. It is a marker of how engaged you are, especially because we don't have other like metrics, like we don't show follower counts. We're not an influencer platform. So I think the points and the levels badges, which you earn when you earn a lot of points, are an indicator of just like how good of a community member you are and how active you are.
How have the readers, so I understand why you guys are doing it from like a business perspective, right? Yeah. Everything you just said, not to mention it is an engagement lever, but how are readers responding to that aspect of it?
Yeah. So, the response has been great. I think it's especially been really eye-opening to hear a lot of folks write in and be like, hey, as someone who's neurodivergent, I actually find these features really helpful to just stay on track. Like my ADHD makes it really difficult for me to stay motivated, or like I'm a mood reader and sometimes I hit these reading slumps where I'm not reading for months. And there's just something that's fun about logging in and seeing that I'm making progress every day. So I think that's with the points. I think with the quests, we have some users who have like 40 badges at this point. I'm like, how are you reading that much?
I do not have that many.
I think there's like the fun, the like Girl Scout collection of the badges is fun.
Yes.
But then also I think, it's a virtuous cycle because the way that you earn badges in quests is by reading books and it can really push you out of your comfort zone. We've had a lot of readers tell us that they read something brand new they would have never picked up before, or that they literally were able to read double the amount of books this year after they joined Pagebound compared to last year. So
they need those Pagebound points,
Yeah, I think it's like whatever works for you. I think like gamification is not for everyone. Some people, it's like a negative thing. And by all means, you don't need to participate in it, But if that boost makes you happy, like why not?
Yeah. Obviously you talked about the founding, and when I first heard of you guys and saw that it was just, a couple of people, I was like, oh, they must have like vibe coded this thing or used AI to build this. And then to see your stance being so outwardly anti-AI, I found to be really intriguing. So I guess it's such a simple question, but why does that such an important stand for you guys to take, where it's like, I think it's like right on the homepage, this is a big part of like the ethos.
Yeah. When we first started building Pagebound, like ChatGPT didn't quite exist yet, or maybe in like the very early days, but it certainly was not as, everywhere as it is now. And even from that point, like it's just me and Jennifer, we're a 2-person team, but it took us a long time to build this, right? Like we've been working on this for 2 full years. The first year we were just building. And that was, a tough time because we just had to operate on faith that this would work. And we were investing all of our time and resources into it. And, we've only been live for a year. So we launched web this time last year, and then we launched the app in October. And it's taken us that long because we are building this from the ground up without any AI. And I think at first it was just an ethics issue for us internally. Now I think that AI is so omnipresent everywhere. A lot of people recognize the harm it causes. And so now I do think it's a reason people switch to us as well.
Yeah, I've seen. I don't want to throw names around because whatever, but like I've seen that people specifically have been like, I left this platform for this one because of that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we're 100% a reader platform. Like we don't really have author features, but even from day one, we were thinking about the authors. Like they're obviously a huge part of this community, and indie authors in particular, and how Pagebound can help, right? Because part of the issue of Amazon owning everything is, they just have a chokehold on not only the readers, but also the publishing industry, and like where indie authors can even go. And we've always thought that if we can build a really, really strong reader platform, that can help authors as well down the line, right? So I think because we've had, and obviously I think authors were the first to catch on that AI is bad. And now like more and more readers also recognize it. But I think since we always had authors in mind, it was always a very easy decision for us.
You mentioned, so first off, congratulations, 0 to 100,000 in a year is amazing. So you must feel so stoked. But you've also grown it organically without ads, which again, huge milestone, right? To get that many users without like just pushing Google ads all day, every day to get customers. What has worked best for your growth so far? And are there any like community moments or user stories that really capture what Pagebound is about?
Yeah, it's a great question. So since we're self-funded, we kind of had no choice but to grow organically. Like we literally could not afford ads. And, at the beginning of 2025, when we launched, it was a gamble. I had never made a TikTok video ever. And, since Jennifer's the software engineer, it was kind of on me to figure out the growth side of things. And I was just posting into the void for a long time and just like kind of, I'm sure anyone who's made content before knows what it's like. You just make like 3 videos a day and pray that something will hit. And we did have a couple like pretty big kind of viral moments that helped us a lot throughout 2025. And then since the app in October, I would say it's largely just been word of mouth.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible. And
that's how I found out about it. Like someone was like, hey, have you seen this app? You know what I mean? Like, I think all readers are like that. I feel like I've tried so many book tracking apps over the year trying to find the one that would replace Goodreads,
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you just said to me is so true. And I feel like people outside of the reading or book community don't understand it, but like, this is such a good community. Like that's why it worked. I don't think anyone could just build in any industry and without any funding and get from 0 to 100,000. But I do think if you build a really good product in the book space, like people are generous. They want to share. If they love something, they're going to share it. They are not going to ask for anything in return.
So you mentioned like the lean team and you kind of had to make some decisions early on, like, whether it's around advertising or other things, but were there any features that you would have like loved to have had at launch, but you just had to be like, that has to live in the backlog. There's only 2 of us. We need to get this thing out the door. Like someday we'll do that. Like, is there any feature that was on like your wish list?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. So, we knew we could not be everything to everyone from day one, right? And we intentionally said, we're going to try to build the features that really differentiate us, which is on the social side, like features that don't exist anywhere else. And the reality is building like a very robust book app it takes a lot of work. It's very featureful. It's really hard. Book catalogs, book data is messy, and there is a ton of it. And there's no source of truth out there for actually even what books go into a series. Like sometimes the publishers don't even know.
Trust me, as someone who's worked in this industry, this is like the pain is brutal. Where it's like, you get all these users being like, why isn't this series like linked? I'm like, well, the information the publisher gives us like doesn't even have chapter titles, let alone.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you feel me. So, and we were like, oh, are people not going to want to use us just because we don't track edition? Like from day one, we did not have edition tracking. And we said, we made the philosophical decision to be like, well, if we're really trying to prioritize social and like what we want is one forum for every book, editions don't really play into that. We don't actually want one forum for every edition because that would splinter the conversation.
Oh, big time. And some books have like 50 editions,
Oh, yeah.
like different locales and audio and, et cetera.
Exactly. It all gets very complicated. So we did make those trade-off decisions early on. And just, I would say at this point, now that our core set of features is there and we're like focused on scaling, we are starting to return. And, probably every 3 days, I get someone who asks me, why don't you have genre data? And I'm like, trust me, we know we don't have it. We know, and it's coming, but we did prioritize the other features over stuff like that.
Speaking of features that are coming, like genre, looking ahead to the next 6 to 12 months, what can users expect?
Yeah, so our big focus right now is on making sure our current features scale well and helping our users, helping our, 200,000th user get as much value out of Pagebound as the early days, which there's definitely, even just to our, book forums, ways that we can make it much more easy to navigate, ways that we want to preserve both the value and joy in posting. But of course, if you get 1 million posts a day, your site gets flooded, right? So there's also the balance of making it a really good experience for someone reading the forums. And since we don't have algorithms, very intentionally, that is a very tricky problem that we are currently working on. And we have some ideas forthcoming that we're excited about. But I mean, honestly, we try to be as transparent as possible. You mentioned the roadmap earlier. You can see we've got maybe 100 feature requests, and they're literally either approved with some rationale or rejected with some rationale about why we won't do it. And as soon as we have kind of the next month or the next 2 months visibility, we actually add it to our roadmap so you can see what we're working on next. So, I mean, we're not planning a year out. I mean, this is a 2-person team, we're very much
what's on fire today?
Yeah. We know okay, these are the things that need to get fixed this quarter. And we also doing exciting things, right? So we're about to launch giveaways, which is a brand new feature. And that's going to come out the week of the 19th. And so we're starting to work more and more with authors, with publishers, and just see how we can integrate them in cool and organic ways. So we're excited for what the future holds, but we're learning. Nothing is set in stone. If our user base really, really wanted something or we learned something new, we are small and lean enough where we can just adjust and build that other thing.
You sort of just mentioned, starting to collaborate with, authors and publishers. And I had 2 more kind of sillier questions. And one of them is your dream collaboration or partnership for Pagebound, whether it's an author or a brand or like an event. Do you have kind of a dream collaboration?
Wow. Okay. Well, I would love to do something with Reese's Book Club, or honestly, Dua
Wouldn't we all?
Lipa. Yeah, Dua Lipa. Sarah Jessica Parker was a judge for the Booker Prize last year, and she liked one of my Instagram videos.
Nice.
And I freaked out. I had a moment. So no, I think since we are, again, just totally trying to grow organically, 100% if there was someone with a big audience who just stumbled upon us and actually genuinely liked us, because that's very important to us.
Right,
then,
not a paid partnership.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We could
really
not afford
passionate.
to pay. Yeah. So, no, I think that would be magical. And, 100% we would love to kind of do more community collaboration things. I would say the other thing that we haven't been able to focus on a lot just because of budget as well, that I would love to do more, is also in-person things. A lot of how we connect with people is just through social media right now, because that's free and, that's how we built our audience. But I would love to work more with libraries and just in-person kind of touch points, folks who aren't on BookTok, aren't on Bookstagram, but would still really get a lot of value out of using Pagebound. I think as someone who, again, made my first TikTok video, out of necessity, I was never that big onto any of these platforms. And so I have always had this idea that we can reach more readers like me at the end of the day, who go to their library and read a lot of books, but maybe don't have a lot of friends in real life who read.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. It was meant to be almost like a silly question, but you answered it in a very business-like.
Oh my gosh,
this could be the future. I really like that. What book are you currently reading? And how does Pagebound enhance that experience for you, personally?
Yeah, I'm currently reading Starling House. Have you heard of this book?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, gothic horror, or I guess it's more like a gothic romance horror. It's not really my typical genre, but her new book, The Everlasting, is blowing up right now on Pagebound. So I was going to read that book, but it's a 14-week wait on Libby. So now I'm reading The Starling House as a result. But
Nice.
I haven't read any of her
wait
work
time
before.
on Libby.
Oh, yeah. But no, Pagebound 100% influences me. I mean, I used to be mostly like a classics lit fic reader, and now I'm like much more into genre fiction and love it. And I'm also very, very type A. I mean, I'm into the gamification. I like the badges, and we do seasonal read-alongs where like as a community, there are 4 to 5 books that we pick for every season. And if you read all of them, you get a sparkly badge. And I'm, very into the sparkly badge. So that definitely takes up a big portion of my
I can't believe you're not actively
reading.
wearing like a Pagebound, like you said, Girl Scout sack right now.
I mean, dude, the dream would be to have like actual merch and stickers that is the physical badges that you can like make your own pack, You
have a merch store. Get on it. That sounds amazing.
I know. It's really on me. I need to, if I do it,
you
then
need to design
exist,
it.
Right? But Starling House, it's been so interesting because it's so fun. It's like, I just, we have a Substack, and like, that's like our way that we do email instead of like a traditional, marketing email style thing.
Like MailChimp or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I just actually sent one out this week that was about like a choose your own adventure, because depending on how big the forum is on Pagebound, the experience of talking with other readers and doing the read along is actually really different. And Starling House is like right between, it's like 150 posts right now in the forum, which work like in my little email, I had like a little metaphor for all these things, from like our most popular like stadium concert to like, I would say Starling House is like an arena show, all the way down to like underground music sessions.
Like a basement punk
yes,
show. It's
exactly,
like 3 people.
Exactly. And so Starling House is right in this like sweet spot of the arena show where there's like so much chatter already in the forums. It's really fun to read what other people have to say. But I also like having a little bit of space to like come out with a fresh take, drop some literary analysis. Yeah. Flex my English degree a little bit. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we're almost at time. Actually, we're a little bit over time. I'm sorry. I'll try to say this one really quick, but basically,
no problem. Yeah.
I always end each episode with asking for one good thing. And it doesn't have to be a book like you just recommended, but it can be anything in your life that's bringing you joy that you think listeners should know about or give a try.
Wow. Okay. That's great. I love that idea.
I just feel like we all need a little bit more joy right now,
Yeah, no, 100%. It's funny because it's the new year, but I'm not a New Year's resolution person. It seems out of character given what I just shared about my sparkly badge obsession. But no, I actually don't. I really don't like setting New Year's resolutions because I'm much more about the like ease into a habit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think like new habits that I've recently picked up. Okay, so I was doing the artist's way. I was like dabbling with like morning pages a bit like more last year and gave up on it. But this year, not as a New Year's resolution, because I know that will turn me off of it. But I have been journaling a bit more in the morning. I found it, when you work for yourself, it can be very hard to like turn off your brain, right? Because you're kind of always working.
Right.
And so I've tried to kind of start my days with just some journaling time, not necessarily in the artist's way, like a certain number of pages every day, but more just, it's not very great writing. There's kind of no pressure on it. But it's explicitly not about work, which is also nice. So
do you find that hard when you're journaling and have to like stop yourself from being like, today at Pagebound, this thing happened?
I found that like what I used to do with that time was immediately check all my social media notifications and then like respond to folks who had questions about Pagebound. So I think now at least it's like, and there was no urgency. Like that was a self-imposed, habit. So now at least I'm just like, okay, well, like what do I want to like do this weekend even? And like, can I think about that more proactively rather than end up, Friday night finishing work and being like, oh, I have like nothing planned. I've just been like working from home in my PJs for 5 days in a row. And like just now being like, oh, can I see a human? How do I get some interaction? Now I just feel like it's just like a moment, and I think because it's like actually writing, it forces me to focus versus, like so many of us, I think, I'm always like just so distracted and have a million things going on. And I'll be like doing Pagebound work on my computer, but also my phone is going off, with the notifications. And so just turning all that off and just having the journal and like going analog has been helpful for me.
I love it. Going analog journaling. That's a really good one. Beyond that, thank you so much for your time.
No, yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for the conversation. I had a lot of fun.
Me too. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Before we go, I just wanted to share a recommendation for a book I'm reading. It's titled We Are Always Tender with Our Dead, the first in a new trilogy named Burnt Sparrow by Boston-based author Eric LaRocca. Eric has been one of my favorite horror authors of the last, 4 or 5 years, and this new book proves why. It is so good. The book takes place in New Hampshire, so I was on board immediately as I love a spooky New England book. The book starts off where we meet a 16-year-old boy named Rupert Cromwell coming to terms with the loss of his mother 3 years prior and his very uncomfortable relationship with his father. Then 3 faceless entities arrive on Christmas morning. They perform a brutal act of violence, and the entire town is coming to terms with it, including Rupert. I won't say more because you should go buy this book immediately and read it for yourself, but trust me, it's a page turner and well worth your time. Eric has a new book coming out in March titled Wretch, so I'm going to do my best to get him on the podcast soon to discuss it. Before that, I do have a new episode coming out in 2 weeks with one of my favorite authors, TJ Klune, who you probably know from House in the Cerulean Sea, In the Lives of Puppets, Under the Whispering Door, and countless other amazing books. So if you don't subscribe to the podcast, please do so you can listen to that when it comes out. And if you do subscribe, thanks. Until next time, thanks for listening.